All right, custom Ganon kit bash, made from the Ogre GNX, with pieces of a couple other kits. I might remember them as we see them, but for the most part, the base was the Ogre GNX high grade. I wanted the base coloring of this kit, as you can see, the little foggy with the little splotches. I wanted that to somewhat represent the skin of Ganon, like a monster-like skin. But obviously I wanted to include a bunch of other adornments and embellishments that kind of scream Gerudo Valley. These side pieces, they're on the Ogre GNX, but they are literally such a bitch. They do not stay very well. As you can see, there's just like a tiny joint that there's little section of the arm piece stands onto. But I think overall, those little plastic additions I made, those are probably my favorite things that I did to this kit, was those little tiny plastic strips that I glued together to make that kind of swirl design, which I actually stole that idea from like a fan drawn picture of a sexy Ganon. But it was worth it. It was worth it. I think it really pulled it all together. Wanted to get some blue that kind of went with these pictures I made. I might drop the images for reference, but it had some dark blue to it too that I didn't want to represent, like I wanted it to be different from the skin, but still have all the gold embellishments on it. Oh, and there we go, putting on the head. I wanted it to be bright red to represent like the hair that Ganon has, but oh man, I was freaking out. I was freaking out at this point. You could tell I was going super slow at the beginning, but I eventually speed up. I was very stressed out to be putting this kit together. That's why I got the gloves, everything. Those face details were pretty complicated to get anything to really stand out. I don't want to miss talking about this. The headpiece here, those horns I actually sculpted onto and then sanded to replicate, to make a horn shape. But I was really surprised that they turned out even. That was something that had me real shook. But I like them. I like the way that they ended up, and the texture of them for the paint. I tried to make kind of like a little ruggedy like horns, but I don't know. It seemed kind of flat still. I found out when I put those pieces together that I didn't need to paint the outside, but you know, it can't hurt. I love the panel washing that happened with that shoulder piece. Those little gold pieces I actually got from a hobby store and just glued them on and painted over. It was kind of messy, but I think it looked really good whenever you put it all together at the end. Now, that part was scary to put together with the paint. I was worried that the edges would scrape, but they actually didn't. There was actually quite a lot of space there. So, ooh, I love all those little sponge designs I made. I basically just made a whole coat of teal on the whole body, and then went in with a sponge, and it was just like a house kitchen sponge to do dishes. Like I just took some of that, cut it up a little bit, and dabbed some paint on it, some lighter paint, just to make that coloring look a little bit less flat. It was my very first time doing any sort of sponging, which I wanted to try it, even though I haven't really seen other people do much with that with Gundams. But I definitely wanted it to look not like a flat color, and I've not experimented with a lot of it before, so it was kind of just trying out my own thing and instead of seeing what other people were doing. But I think it turned out okay, and I might, work on mastering it a little bit better next time, because I definitely learned a lot this time around. All right, second arm, same thing. Still terrified to put everything together, and this you kind of had to push really hard. I was shook. There's not really much there. It's repetition, but I did add some blue accents lately, or like last minute, to try to replicate some of the like cloth pieces that he wore. on the forearms and the shoulders and the waist, but I only got that little blue spot square you can see. I got that and a little bit on the waist, but I think the brown still kind of sells the whole, like, it's like a piece of fabric, kind of, but still very Gundam-y. I didn't want to lose that it is a Gundam. It's more like as if this is the Gundam that Ganon would be piloting. Ooh, the feet. So this is another one that I tried to do some sort of a texture. I tried to hand brush the shoes, or the feet and the horns, to be a little bit more like you can see the lines, but it actually ended up pretty flat. Ah, these leg pieces are scary, but they came together really nice. Since I painted all these pieces separate, I was really surprised to see that everything like was around the same tone of color. Ooh. Again, I put the panel, or the plot-plated little swirl there, the little plastic strips. That was so fun to do. I'm a huge fan of plot plating, and that, for some reason, the glue was just working with me that day. Added a little bit of dots of gold throughout this whole kit just to bring all the gold pieces together. Like on the inside of this leg here. Oh, and so I skipped around a couple of times on the edits here because I completely forgot to take out the PC piece of the foot to put into the leg. But love the dark blue combinations with the quote-unquote skin tone. Oh, and such a big leg, such a good angles. All the angles, I'm such a fan of this kit in general. I was a huge fan of this kit, but now that it's Ganon, I'm really obsessed with it. Gonna be a hard one to let go of. I don't think I will. Ooh, there we go, all the gold on one side. There wasn't too many details on his legs, obviously, to kind of go off of, so I just kept it kind of simple. And then the other leg again. Ooh, you see that little boo-boo right there? I saw that. I did have to do a little bit of touch-ups after putting the pieces together, because there was a little bit of scraping off of the paint, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually dropped these pieces multiple times throughout the process of building this one. I took too long in between next steps, and I would forget, and something would happen, it would fall off my desk. Ooh, I love that shape. It's such a unique one for, like, it's a high knee. And again, this is another one where I learned my lesson the first time, so I was able to take the PC piece out and put it in there. It's kind of hard to get out of the shoe, so I just kept it in and connected the shoe to the leg. The foot, the shoe, whatever. In this case, hoof. And leg number 2 done. Oh, I'm such a fan of that teal color. I hated teal as I was trying to figure out what makes teal. That was a long stream trying to figure out what teal even was and the balance of colors. I think I did like some dark green, dark blue, and added some yellow, which I wasn't expecting, but stream definitely helped me with my color wheel, color theory. And there's some more of the blue that I was talking about on the tan piece of quote-unquote fabric that it's going to be around its waist. And these red pieces on the front, you can tell the tone's a little different. It's what you get for painting the pieces kind of separate, but my masking worked out pretty okay on those, which I wasn't proud of because I tend to have a little bit of a problem with masking. My paint usually comes up, but I didn't have any issues with that when I was pulling the tape up and nothing really. Oh, there was only one piece, I think it was one of these swords, actually, but there's some added plot plating there too. One of those edges of the sword was not there, and I made a little bit of plastic on each side so that when it comes together, it made a connection though. So you can see there's a little bit of where the paint came up, kind of the tint of it. But I forgot my little gold bracelets since I wanted him to be adorned and over the top Gerudo Valley vibes. So I made these little bracelets out of plastic strips. It was several different strips I would like overlap in a certain way to make it to where it was stable, and then just hand painted the gold on. I might have even spread that, I can't remember, but got the gold on. Needed it to go on both sides, which I did off camera, and here's the tail. This tail is completely kit bashed. I think there's Hyakurin stuff, there's G Lucifer feet, and went really ham on the sponging on this one. I painted some pieces the light green, and I painted the base of the tail the regular skin color for this kit, and then sponged the crap out of the fucking out of that green all over, all up it, and tried to do it in a way where I can see the gradient, so put the pieces in front of me. There was a piece that connected towards the base that was made from a runner. I just grabbed a runner piece and chopped it off and used that as the peg to get everything connected. And I think that piece that's heavily sponged on top in the middle is really there just to cover the large gap between a couple of the pieces. So here we go, throwing it all together. I was really nervous at this point about how it was all gonna come together, because sometimes it's just something in my head, and I do think that it's a little weird to me, because it's almost like a Gundam's wearing clothes in a way, but I went a little bit more literal with this one than I usually do. And the couple little touch-ups I had to make afterwards weren't that big of a deal. Usually if it's just a little bit of a white piece or a little bit of a color, you can usually get it fixed up. Just a tiny bit of paint, and usually no one notices. So throwing on the arms and the legs, and we're gonna get the head on and the swords in. Actually, I think I left the swords out, but that tail connection, I actually sanded down. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. And now we'll throw the tail in, hopefully. This connection, I had to sand down the back of the waist so that it could connect fully and not just have a huge peg out of its butt. But there's a little bit of a gap, but I think overall you can't really, yeah, there you go. It's not too crazy, you see. So yeah, that was my Ganon build. Like I said before, most of this was worked on live on Twitch, so if you're into Gundam building, maybe some Lego sets, and generally just some chill, cozy vibes, be sure to follow me there. All my social links are also in the description, so jump on in and I'll catch you on the Discord sometime. Best crew.